What do you like to see, Ashley? Because I mean, I do readings and stuff, but I'm also getting more into like truth and history and things like that. So, what do you like to see? Oh, Shantavia. Okay, so hey YouTube. Okay, I hope y'all are doing well. Hello everyone on Bigo. Hey Rogers. Hey South Third. Hey everybody. Hey everybody. Um, my people on YouTube, we're about to get started. So basically, we're going to be reading an excerpt from Admiral Byrd. Okay, who he was traveling to the North Pole. Well, he was traveling over the North Pole in I believe it was 1947. Okay, for everyone, you do your own research. Okay, do your own research. All right, y'all. But yeah, we're gonna get into the exploration flight over the North Pole. Okay, let me see. I think it's I think 1947. Let me see. We're gonna be reading the full thing. It's really not that long. It's a little long, but not that long. Hey y'all. Hey Mandinga. Hey Gary. Hey Bruce. Hey Rolando. Linton. Alan. Warfrat. Biggie. Love. Cocodrio. Okay. Alex. Hey y'all. Um. Yeah, this was in 1947. This was in 1947, y'all. Okay. So we're going to get into it because this is going to be definitely something. I know I keep changing the thing. I'm just trying to see what looks good and what does not. Okay. Hopefully everybody can hear me well because we about to get started. Okay. YouTube, if you look a little janky, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm sorry. But we're going to go ahead and get into it. All right. So y'all gonna be listening to me read, okay? The exploration flight over the North Pole. Okay, y'all excuse my face. It is what the fuck it is. Okay. So the exploration flight over the North Pole, okay. Um Now this is Admiral Richard, I think his name is Richard Byrd, okay, something like that. He says, I must write this diary in secrecy and obscurity. It concerns my Arctic flight of the 19th day of February in the year of 1947. Okay, so we in 1947. There comes a time, and when I tell y'all it's juicy, it's juicy. This is for those who haven't heard it. Okay, let me put this over here because it gets real, real, real juicy. Hold on. I'm trying to make it work. Okay. Hopefully y'all can see. Sorry for the inconvenience. Okay. Remove this here and move this here. Okay, boom. So, there comes a time when the rationality of men must fade into insignificance and one must accept the inevitability of the truth. Okay? I am not at liberty to disclose the following documentation at this writing, Perhaps it shall never see the light of public scrutiny, but I must do my duty and record here for all to read one day. Okay? Okay, you tracking? In a world of greed and exploitation of certain of mankind can no longer suppress that which is the truth. So this is the flight log. We're going to be going through the different times, okay, that, he was in the flight. Is going to go over every little ting, that he was going through, that him, the pilot, everybody else was going through, okay, at the specific times, okay. So it says flight log, base camp Arctic, February 19th, 1947, okay. It says 0600 hours. All preparations are complete for our flight northward, and we are airborne with full fuel tanks at 0610 hours. Okay. 0620 hours. Fuel mixture on starboard engine seems too rich. Adjustment made and Pratt Whitneys are running smoothly. Okay. I don't know what the fuck that is, but the engine running smoothly. Okay. 0730 hours, and I know I don't do that type of time well, military time or whatever, but that's what it is, okay? So 0730 hours, radio check with base camp. All is well and radio reception is normal, okay? 0740 hours, and we're gonna get to the good part, so just hold on. 0740 hours, note slight oil leak in starboard engine. Oil pressure indicator seems normal, however, okay? 0800 hours, slight turbulence noted from easterly direction at altitude of 2,321 feet. Correction to 1,700 feet. No further turbulence, but tailwind increases. Slight adjustment in throttle controls and aircraft performing very well now, okay? So first they had a little turbulence in the plane, and now he like, we good though. We got everything under control. Boom. 0815 hours, okay? It says, radio check with base camp, situation normal. Okay, so he checked back with his peoples, like, hey, we had a little something, but we good now. Now, 15 minutes later, at 0830, he says, turbulence encountered again. Increase altitude to 2,900 feet. Smooth flight conditions again. Okay, and let me make sure that. Oh, okay. We good. All right. So now the turbulence has started again, y'all. So this was the good part. All right. Smooth flight conditions again. Okay. Now, maybe about 40 minutes later, okay, at 0910 hours, he says, vast ice and snow below. Note coloration of yellowish nature and dispersed in a linear matter. A linear pattern. I'm sorry. Altering course for a better examination of this color pattern below. Note the reddish or purple color also. Circle this area 2 full turns to assigned compass heading. Position check made again to the base camp and relay information concerning colorations in the ice and snow below. So now him and the pilot them are at the point where he's starting to see something down there. So they in Antarctica and all this shit, right? And it's just supposed to be white. But now he's saying, oh, it's some red and purple down there in the ice, and it's not supposed to be like that. So what is this? Okay, cool. So he told his base camp what the fuck was going on with the coloration. Okay. Now, also he says at this same time, it says both magnetic and gyro passes beginning to gyrate and wobble. We are unable to hold our heading by instrumentation. Take bearing with sun compass, yet all seems well. Okay. The controls are seemingly slow with the sun compass. No. The controls are seemingly slow to respond and have sluggish quality, but there is no indication of icing. Okay? Now, 5 minutes later, he says, in the distance is what appears to be mountains. Okay? Now, about 30 minutes later, 09:49 hours, okay? 29 minutes elapsed flight time from the first sighting of the mountains. It is no illusion. There are mountains and consisting of a small range that I have never seen before. Okay? We get to the juicy part. About 5 minutes later, 6 minutes later, okay, at 09:55 hours, altitude changed to 2,950 feet, encountering strong turbulence again. Do you hear me? So he done had turbulence about 3, 4 times already. And he's noticing there's something ain't right in the mirror. Okay? So now, at, okay, I guess 1,000 hours, 10 hours, whatever it is, at 10, which is about 5 minutes after this altitude change, he says, now this is the juicy part, y'all, so listen. We are crossing over the small mountain range and still proceeding northward as best as can be ascertained. Okay, beyond the mountain range is what appears to be a valley with a small river or stream running through the center portion. There should be no green valley below. Something is definitely wrong and abnormal here. Okay, that's what he said. Let's continue. We should be over ice and snow. To the port side, okay, are great forests growing on the mountain slopes. Our navigation instruments are still spinning. The gyroscope is oscillating back and forth. So now he sees greenery, and he's not supposed to be seeing greenery. He's seeing greenery. He's seeing the forest. He's seeing, water and just beautiful landscape that's not supposed to be there because it's just supposed to be ice, right? Okay. He at the North Pole. Now, 5 minutes after that, at 10:05, he says, I alter the altitude to 1,400 feet and execute a sharp left turn to better examine the valley below. It is green with either moss or a type of tight-knit grass. So he's looking below. It looked like it's a little sea moss or something. It looked like it's low-cut grass. Okay? He says, the light here seems different. Okay, sorry, y'all. He said, the light here seems different. I cannot see the sun anymore. So now he's seeing some sort of quote-unquote artificial light. Okay? He's not seeing the sun no more, but he's seeing something that's very light and glistening, and, it's incredible. Okay? So then he's saying, we make another left turn and we spot what seems to be a large animal of some kind below us. It appears to be an elephant. No, it looks more like a mammoth. This is incredible, yet there it is. Decrease altitude to 1,000 feet and take binoculars to better examine the animal. It is confirmed. It is definitely a mammoth-like animal. Report this to base camp. So not only is he seeing the greenery, not only is he seeing the artificial light, he's seeing a mammoth-like, elephant-looking thing, okay, animal. Even in that time, I think that mammoths were extinct or something like that. So how is he seeing that right now? Okay? And it gets better. It gets better. So just hold on. It gets better. Okay. 25 minutes later. Okay. 25 minutes later. Okay. Encountering more rolling green hills now. The external temperature indicator reads 74 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay. Continuing on our heading now. Navigation instruments seem normal now. I am puzzled over their actions. Attempt to contact base camp and the radio is not functioning. So now he's trying to contact his peoples because earlier they had a little turbulence and he was like, hey, we had turbulence, but we good. But now it's not just turbulence, his radio ain't working. So he can't call back and say, hey, something's going on. He can't call. A whole hour later, so we're going from 10:30 to 11:30. Countryside below is more level and normal, if I may use that word, he says. Ahead, we spot what seems to be a city. This is impossible. This is what he says. Aircraft seems light and oddly buoyant. The controls refuse to respond. My God. Off our port and starboard wings are a strange type of aircraft. So on the side of his plane, on the wings, there is a freaking aircraft, a strange aircraft that they've never seen before. A UFO, if you will. They are closely, rapidly alongside. That's what he said. They are disc-shaped, the markings on them. It is a type of swastika. This is fantastic. So, to all those who don't know, swastikas, they were seen to be a bad thing at one point, but before that, okay, in the ancient times, they meant something totally different. Okay, you can look that up yourself. There's a meaning for it, just look up the different symbols, you know what I'm saying, from Africa, ancient Africa, things like that, ancient Egypt, all that. Okay, now, he said, this is fantastic. Where are we? What has happened? I tug at the controls again. They will not respond. We are caught in an invisible vice grip of some type. Okay, so this craft has put some sort of force field around them to make them, have the turbulence and radio not functioning, and they can't even fly the plane now. Like they're at the point where they can't even fly the plane. So 5 minutes later at 11:35, he says, our radio crackles and a voice comes through in English with what perhaps is a slight Nordic or Germanic accent, okay? Mind you, remember he said that his stuff wasn't working, okay? Oh, it's funny. Hey, Howie. It's funny that Howie came up because in this excerpt is, in this text, the pilot name is Howie, I believe. Spelled just like yours. Okay, so on the radio, he hears somebody coming through the radio signal, even though the radio wasn't working for him when he was trying to call his people at the base camp. Okay, the voice says, welcome, Admiral, to our domain. We shall land you in exactly 7 minutes. Relax, Admiral. You are in good hands. End quote. So he just got the beat. Call me a beat man if you want to reach me. If you want to reach me, it's okay. Okay, by this Nordic German accent having being on this disc-shaped thing. Okay. Now it says, this is Admiral speaking again now. He says, I note the engines of our plane have stopped running. The engines have stopped working. The aircraft is under some strange control and is now turning itself. The controls are useless. At 11:40, 5 minutes later, he says, another radio message received. We begin the landing process now, okay? And in moments, the plane shudders slightly and begins a descent as though caught in some great unseen elevator. The downward motion is negligible and we touch down with only a slight jolt, okay? So you know when the plane landing or whatever, you hit the little bounce. You know what I'm saying? That's what's going on right now. Okay. So next, and 5 minutes later, he says, I am making a hasty last entry in the flight log. Several men are approaching on foot toward our aircraft. They are tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large, shimmering city, pulsating with rainbow hues of color. Did y'all hear me? Let me say it one more time, for the people in the bike. They are tall with blonde hair. In the distance is a large, shimmering city, pulsating with rainbow hues of color. I do not know what is going to happen now, but I see no signs of weapons on those that are approaching. I hear now a voice ordering me by name to open the cargo door, and I comply. What would y'all do if you were flying an aircraft and these beings, they stopped your shit and they all of a sudden, you know what I'm saying, came up to you, even though they didn't have no weapons and everything like that, from a large shimmering city, and they are tall with blonde hair? What would y'all do? What would y'all do? And this ain't the end, by the way. This is not the end. That's just the end of his log from him being on his plane. Okay? So now, let's move forward. But y'all tell me in the comments, what would y'all do at this moment? End log. Okay? Now he says, from this point, I write all the following events here from memory. It defies the imagination and would seem all but madness if it had not happened. Okay? So he like, it's real crazy. It's crazy. Okay? He also says, the radio man and I are taken from the craft and we are received in the most cordial manner. So the people are cordial. They cool. We are then boarded on a small platform-like conveyance with no wheels. It moves toward the glowing city with a great swiftness. As we approach, the city seems to be made of a crystal material. He's on a freaking elevated conveyor belt, moving fast. Moving fast with no wheels towards a glowing city, y'all. Made of crystal material. What would y'all do? I don't know what I would do. I would be just as shocked as the freaking Admiral. Okay, Admiral Byrd. Moving on. It says, soon we arrive at a large building. That is a type that I have never seen before. It appears to be right out of the design board of Frank Lloyd Wright, or perhaps more correctly, out of a Buck Rogers setting. So I don't know who or what Frank Lloyd Wright is. I don't know who or what Buck Rogers is, but we can look that up afterwards so that we can get a visual of what this building looks like. As a matter of fact, I can do that later. I'll do it later. Moving on. We are given some type of warm beverage which tasted like nothing I have ever savored before. So now they done gave him a little sippy sip or something. He said, it is delicious. Oh, excuse me. After about 10 minutes, 2 of our wondrous appearing hosts come to our quarters and announce that I am to accompany them. I have no choice but to comply, he says. I leave my radio men behind, and we walk a short distance and enter into what seems to be an elevator. So he in another type of vehicle, another type of elevator now, okay? In this crystal-like city. So now the Admiral says, we descend downward for some moments. The machine stops and the door lifts silently upward, okay? We then proceed down a long hallway that is lit by a rose-colored light. Mind y'all, he's still in Antarctica. He's still in the North Pole. What? Okay. I'm sorry, y'all. Okay, anyway. The hallway is lit by a rose-colored light that seems to be emanating from the very walls themselves. One of the beings motions for us to stop before a great door, okay? So they're like, hey, hold up. Wait a minute. Over the door is an inscription that I cannot read. That's what he's saying. So it could be like hieroglyphs or something like that. It also says the great door slides noiselessly open and I am beckoned to enter. So now he's gonna go inside of a door. He don't even know what's behind him. He don't know what's going on. All right. So now this is the biggest part right here. It says one of my hosts speaks. Okay. The host says, have no fear, Admiral. You are here. No, you are to have an audience with the master. End quote. Who the fuck is the master? Who's the master? I would be a little frightened if somebody told me, oh, the master's waiting for us. But he said that they're cordial, so let's move forward. Okay, the Admiral says, I step inside and my eyes adjust to the beautiful coloration that seems to be filling the room completely. He says, then I begin to see my surroundings. What greeted my eyes is the most beautiful sight of my entire existence. It is, in fact, too beautiful and wondrous to describe. It is exquisite and delicate. I do not think there exists a human term that can describe it in any detail with justice. So he's in this room waiting to speak with the master. And he's looking around and he's like, dang, this is nice. Like, look at this and look at that. Look at the colors. Look at that. Woo-de-woo. All right. Now let's move forward. He says, my thoughts are interrupted in a cordial manner by a warm, rich voice of melodious quality that says, now this is the master now. He says, I bid you welcome to our domain, Admiral. Admiral says, I see a man with delicate features. So he's describing the master, the being. He said, I see a man with delicate features and with the etching of years upon his face. He is seated at a long table. He motions me to sit down in one of the chairs. So now he's going to sit down at the table. He says, after I am seated, he places his fingertips together and smiles. Don't that sound like an evil villain? Like, he's like, hello, Admiral. Welcome. Like, what? Okay. He softly speaks again and conveys the following. So this is the master. The master says, we have let you enter here because you are of noble character and well known on the surface world, Admiral. Okay. And then the Admiral thought to himself, surface world? I half gasped under my breath. So he like, like, you know me? How do you know me? You know about me? Okay, cool. So the master says, yes, he replies with a smile. You are in the domain of the Ariani, the inner world of the earth. What? What did he say? What did he say? The inner world. Okay. He says, the master, we're talking about the master still. He says, we shall not long delay our mission, no, your mission, and you will be safely escorted back to the surface and for a distance beyond. But for now, Admiral, I shall tell you why you have been summoned here. Our interest rightly begins just after your race exploded the first atomic bombs over Hiroshima and Nagasaki, Japan. It was at the alarming time we sent our flying machines that we call the Flugelrads, okay, to your surface world to investigate what your race had done. That is, of course, past history now, my dear Admiral, but I must continue on. So he basically like, y'all been up there with the nuclear wars, y'all been doing this and y'all been doing that and y'all been fucking up the world, and it's just been terrible. Okay. He continues on to say, you see, you have never interfered. No, let me go back. He says, you see, we have never interfered before in our race's wars, in your race's wars and barbarity, but now we must. For you have learned to tamper with a certain power that is not for man. Namely, that of an atomic energy. Our emissaries have already delivered messages to the powers of your world, and yet they do not heed. Now you have been chosen to be our witness here, that our world does exist. So they're basically telling them, you are the person that we chose because we know that your heart is pure and you are the only one who can tell the world about us, and you are the only one that we trust to tell the world about who we are, the Ariani, okay? The master continues on to say, you see, our culture and science is many thousands of years beyond your race, Admiral. And the Admiral interrupted and said, but what does this have to do with me, sir? The master's eyes seemed to penetrate deeply into the Admiral's mind, and after studying him for a few moments, the master replied, your race has now reached the point of no return, for there are those among you who would destroy your very world rather than relinquish their powers as they know it. The Admiral nodded, and the master continued. He said, in 1945 and thereafter, we tried to contact your race, but our efforts were met with hostility, and our Flugelrads, okay, they're flying discs, were fired upon. So the master is saying, hey, in 1945 and on, we've been trying to tell your people, we've been trying to tell your government, you know what I'm saying, to stop this and da-da-da-da, but we couldn't even get to talk to them because as soon as they seen us, they start pew, 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 pew. You know what I'm saying? So he continues, he says, yes, even pursued with malice and animosity by your fighter planes. So now I say to you, my son, there is a great storm gathering in your world, a black fury that will not spend itself for many years. There will be no answer in your arms. There will be no safety in your science. So he like, hey, with the way that y'all going, shit ain't gonna be good. The way that y'all going, y'all not gonna have a world. It's gonna be Armageddon around this mug. And nothing can help you. Your science ain't gonna be able to help you, type shit. Okay, moving on. He says, this is still the master. He says, it may rage on until every flower of your culture is trampled and all human things are leveled in vast chaos. Your recent war was only a prelude of what is yet to come for your race. We here see it more clearly with each hour. Do you say that I am mistaken? So the master is like, listen, at every minute, y'all want some fuck shit. At every minute, something bad is happening up there. Okay? So, the Admiral says, no. It happened once before. The Dark Ages came and they lasted for more than 500 years. So the Master says, yes, my son, the Dark Ages that will come now for your race will cover the earth like a pall. But I do believe that some of your race will survive the storm. Beyond that, I cannot say. So the Admiral was like, well, we already had the Dark Ages. And the Master is like, yeah, you did, but it's gonna happen again if y'all keep on doing what y'all doing. Okay, moving on. The Master says, we see at a great distance a new world stirring from the ruins of your race, seeking its lost and legendary treasures. And they will be here, my son, safe in our keeping. When that time arrives, we shall come forward again to help revive your culture and your race. So basically, the Master's like, it's inevitable because of what y'all doing right now. But we will help and we will keep certain things sacred until the right time. So the Master continues on. He says, perhaps by then you will have learned the futility of war and its strife. And after that time, certain of your culture and science will be returned for your race to begin anew. And you, my son, are to return to the surface world with this message. Okay? Let me get a little sip. Okay. So, that was the last of what the Master said. Okay? The Master of the Ariani. That was the last of what he had said. So, the Admiral says, with these closing words, our meeting seemed at an end. Okay? I stood for a moment as I were in a dream. But yet, I knew that this was reality, and for some strange reason, I bowed slightly, either out of respect or humility. I do not know which. Okay, so he felt the need to bow down a little bit, you know what I'm saying, to the Master. Suddenly, I was again aware that the two beautiful hosts who had brought me here were again at my side. So the same people that brought him in is the same people that is going to take him back to the plane. So one of them says, this way, Admiral. Okay, so pointing to the direction. Admiral says, I turned once more before leaving and looked back toward the Master. A gentle smile was etched on his delicate and ancient face. In 1947, what reason would the Admiral have to lie? What reason? So the Master said, farewell, my son, he spoke, and he gestured with a lovely, slender hand of motion, of peace, and our meeting was truly ended. Okay, so he's no longer speaking to the Admiral. The Admiral have bid him farewell and all that good stuff. Okay, and we are almost done. Okay. Now, Howie, here comes you. Okay. He says, quickly we walked back through the great door of the Master's chamber, and once again we entered into the elevator. The door slid silently downward, and we were at once going upward. One of the hosts spoke again and said, we must now make haste, Admiral, as the Master desires to delay you no longer on your scheduled timetable, and you must return with this message to your race. Okay, so now they're not playing no games. They're like, hey, you gotta go so you can get the message to the people. The Admiral says, I said nothing. All of this was almost beyond belief, and once again my thoughts were interrupted as we stopped. I entered the room and was again with my radio man. He had an anxious expression on his face. Okay. Now, The Admiral says, as I approached, he said, as I approached, I said, it is all right, Howie. It is all right. Okay? The two beings motioned us toward the awaiting conveyance. We boarded and soon arrived back to the aircraft. The engines were idling and we boarded immediately. The whole atmosphere seemed charged now with a certain air of urgency. After the cargo door was closed, the aircraft was immediately lifted by the unseen force until we reached the altitude of 2,700 feet. Two of the aircraft were alongside for some distance, guiding us on our return way. The Admiral says, I must state here, the airspeed indicator registered no reading, yet we were moving along at a very rapid rate. At 2:15, okay, he says a radio message comes through. We are leaving you now, Admiral. Your controls are free. Auf Wiedersehen, whatever that means. So I guess that was Nordic, or German or whatever that he was talking about. So I guess that was their sayonara, farewell, you're free now, go do what you gotta do. So the Admiral says, we watched for a moment as the Flugelrads disappeared into the pale blue sky. The aircraft suddenly felt as though caught in a sharp downdraft for a moment. We quickly recovered her control, and we do not speak for some time as each man has his thoughts. Ooh, sorry on my allergies. All right, so now this is where the flight log while he's on his aircraft again starts back up and also ends. So at 2:20, he says, we are again over vast areas of ice and snow and approximately 27 minutes from base camp. We radio them and they respond. We report all conditions normal, and the base camp expresses relief at our re-established contact. Okay. At 3 o'clock, he says, we land smoothly at the base camp. I have a mission. ... This is the end of the log now. Okay. So this is the last of the little juicy parts. Okay. Well, no, we got two more little juicy parts. Just a few more paragraphs, about 2 or 3. So on March 11th, so now we went from February to March 11th, 1947, he says, I have just attended a staff meeting at the Pentagon. I have stated fully my discovery and the message from the master. All is duly recorded. The president has been advised. I am now detained for several hours, 6 hours and 39 minutes to be exact. I am interviewed intently by top security forces and a medical team. It was an ordeal. So now he at the Pentagon, he done told him what had happened, and they done basically kept his ass hostage. Okay? Now, he says, I am placed under strict control via the national security provisions of this United States of America. I am ordered to remain silent in regard to all that I have learned on the behalf of humanity. Incredible. He says, I am reminded that I am a military man and I must obey orders. So he done went from one master to the other master back to the other master, basically. Now, we go from March 11, 1947 to December 30th, 1956. So he says, this is the last little bit. He says, these last few years elapsed since 1947 have not been kind. I now make my final entry in this singular diary. In closing, I must state that I have faithfully kept this matter secret as directed all these years. It has been completely against my values of moral right. Now I seem to sense the long night coming on, and this secret will not die with me. But as all truth shall, it will triumph, and so it shall. So now he's saying he basically got insomnia because he really wants to tell the secret. But he was ordered not to. So he's been struggling. He says, this can be the only hope for mankind. I have seen the truth, and it has quickened my spirit and has set me free. I have done my duty towards the monstrous military industrial complex. So now he's really realizing, like, the master that he was under, quote unquote, was not a good master. He realizes that it's full of fake and phony, because I feel like the Admiral is one of those adventurous, like, even though he's an older person, he still has that younger guy mentality. He's ready to explore it, and he just wants to know, the truth. But I feel like he had been led, or felt like he'd been led to the truth all these years, but he really wasn't, until he went to the North Pole, to the Ariani. Okay? He says, now the long night begins to approach, but there shall be no end. Just as the long night of the Arctic ends, the brilliant sunshine of truth shall come again, and those who are of darkness shall fall in its light. For I have seen that land beyond the pole, that center of the great unknown. Signed, the Admiral Richard E. Byrd of the United States Navy, December 24th, 1956. Y'all, for YouTube, it's funny because I had just did a UFO reading, and I just read this text this morning when I woke up, after I did the reading yesterday. And it was saying the same thing. I found it so ironic, and that's a lot of how, spirituality works, and how, being in tune with the universe works. You get in tune, and then you get confirmations of you being in tune. And this was basically the same thing that I was saying. Everything that the master had said, I basically had covered in the reading that I did. And I feel like this year is going to be so enlightening. For those who don't know, a little snippet of the UFO reading that I did yesterday was that this summer is like something's supposed to be happening this summer, and also in a few days. So y'all be on the lookout for some big news happening very soon, especially this summer. I'm gonna be looking out for it too. But this was just very, very interesting to me, and I felt like, share it. I want to share it with y'all. And if I can, for those that's on Bigo and for those who are on YouTube, I will put it in the description or in the community tab for YouTube, and for Bigo, I'll try to put the PDF on my timeline and post it. But when I seen this, and this ain't even it, he has a whole book. It's called Alone by Richard E. Byrd, and Byrd is spelled B-Y-R-D. Check him out. If y'all heard of the Inner Earth conspiracy and all of that, he's the reason why we have that conspiracy, quote unquote. But what reason would this man have to lie? What reason? There is none. There is no fucking reason. I believe it's true. What do y'all think? Now it's up to y'all. Y'all tell me in the comments, what do y'all think about this here? Do you think that it's real? If you don't think it's real, then why not? Why not? And also tell me what else, is on y'all mind about UFOs and things like that. Like, what are y'all beliefs about this? Are y'all scared? Are you excited? Like, I'm more excited than frightened. I'm more excited than anything, because I feel like, firstly, with everything there's good and bad, and I feel like there's more good than we think. And I also feel like they have been making us feel as though we have something to worry about, when really they the ones who we have to worry about. The government, our government. I feel like they the ones we need to worry about. Even the master said it. And this was in 1947 when he said it. He had been trying to contact our government since 1945, when they started the whole what was that called? But that the dang, what was that called? You know, the thing that happened in Nagasaki, Japan. Okay. It's crazy. It's just crazy. It's like the Admiral said, it's incredible. It's incredible. So, YouTube, I'm gonna log off. Um, this was crazy. When I read this morning, I immediately said, I need to share this. I need to share this. Let me give you. Let me try to give y'all some sources. Really, I just looked it up on Google. I looked it up on Google. I put in Admiral Byrd book free PDF. This come from the University of Pennsylvania. It came from somewhere, but it came from Google. That's where I got it from, because I have been doing a lot of research, and I'm going to be reading more text, because I feel like it's something that we need to get into. There's been stuff happening since before a lot of us was even born or even thought about. And if they've been hiding stuff since then, since before 1945, imagine what has been hidden since then. Even the master was saying they're way more advanced. They had a conveyor. They had technology that we have today that we use on an everyday basis. Then they was barely just now getting colored film. And I really don't like how I seen, I think it was called Periscope Films on YouTube. I seen one of the explorations on film from the Admiral Byrd, and they didn't say all of this. They didn't show this in that film, in the documentary. They didn't show this. They did not show this. They didn't. They didn't show it. They did not show it. I wonder why. And also on the film, they said that it would take them 5 years at that time. It would take them 5 years to edit the footage. What? All I can say is I also downloaded his book named Alone, and I'm going to be reading that as well. So if y'all want to come along with me on this journey, do so, because that's exactly what we're going to do, because we are knowledge seekers and we like to know the truth, and we should know the truth. We deserve the truth. We deserve to know what's really going on around here. to think that we are the only people, the only beings in the galaxy or on this earth, besides animals and plants, is crazy. They are um they are finding thousands of new species by the month. Thousands. Look it up. It's crazy. It's crazy. But that's okay, because we're going to get to the truth. And this is how we're going to get to the truth. We're going to be reading. We're going to be getting into some things. I'm going to be getting into that. Also, I want to get into some ancient texts. Okay. For those who enjoy that, I'm getting into stuff like before Christ. We get into ancient stuff. Like, we finna dig deep, y'all. We finna dig deep. And if y'all are along the ride with me on YouTube, especially, y'all don't forget to like, subscribe. I'm still gonna be doing the readings and stuff, but we're gonna be actually reading from books and stuff, because we need to know. And if it's not people like me and Billy Carson and shout out to Dre OG Reacts on YouTube, Forbidden Knowledge, and y'all check out Why the Big Secret with Robert Martin on YouTube. If it's not people like us spreading the truth, then a lot of us wouldn't even know what's going on. But we should know. Whether you like the information or not is not even, that's missing the whole point. The point is that you should know. Because what if a UFO came right outside of your window right now? What if one parked on top of your house? What would you do? And have y'all seen all the sightings that's going on right now? This summertime, it's gonna be lit. Literally. Let me find out the master is coming through and finna tell us something. Let me find out that this is the time that the master was talking about. Because we're not at war, but guess who we're supposedly fighting? Helping to fight a war that ain't even ours. Let me find out this is the time where the Ariani come up and try to tell the people what's really going on. That would be so ironic, wouldn't it? That would be so ironic. But anyway, I'm done ranting and raving. I hope that y'all enjoyed this. Y'all let me know if y'all enjoyed this. If you're looking forward to more of this. And also, I will be getting more to the point when we're reading. But there will be some points where I'm going to stop and we're going to talk. Because there's a lot of text that needs to be gone through, sifted through. Okay? But anyway, over here on Bigo, y'all send me some beans. Okay? Send me some. YouTube, I love y'all. I will see y'all later.